This is just a little disclaimer, so if anybody does something wrong in this tutorial and damages their scooter parts, it is entirely their fault. And also if they get hurt because of trying to do any of the actions in this tutorial, it's also entirely their fault. This is your own responsibility if you want to try and do this tutorial. In this modification. Hello YouTube and welcome to my tutorial on how to use slitted bars with SCS. Now first off, I must note that you can't normally use slitted bars with SCS, it's dangerous. Because of the way the SCS works. So let me just show you. So if you look here, when you put slitted bars in SCS, they don't actually go over the forks. So when you tighten it, the slit will just compress, which means your bars can come off when you're riding. So that's why you have to modify it. I'll just show you a little more clearly for those who don't know. The bars go in the top half of the SCS, and then the forks go in the bottom half, and it clamps. When you want to run slitted bars with SCS, you have two options. And the first option is by far the simplest, which is simply just to get the bars and hacksaw off the slit. But the problems with that is it'll make your bars shorter, and if you want to have taller bars, there is another way to do it, which I'll show you now. So you're going to need bars, tape, some sort of tubing. I'm using old broken scooter forks. Something you can measure with, so like a measuring tape. I'm just going to pair of calipers, a hacksaw or other cutting device which can cut metal, and a vise. Some other optional things which I recommend are a file and some old towels or cloths for the vise. For the first method, as I'm sure you all know, all you do is get the bars, clamp them in. I suggest using some kind of cloths here so you don't scratch your bars when you're clamping it in, and then you just would make an outline and saw here, cut off the slit, and then that'd be done, and you can use your bars for SCS then. So if you're going to go with the second method because you want to hire bars, you're going to need some tubing. I'm going to use this old scooter forks because they have the right outside diameter, which is 1 1/8 inch, for my aluminium bars. The same goes for standard steel bars. If you're going to use oversized steel bars, you'll need something with an outside diameter of 1.25 inches. An example would be standard size bars here, like these old Ultra Pro bars, which I've grown out of. By the way, these forks are broken before. I don't suggest wasting a new pair of forks. The top of the fork tube is bent, so I cut it off, and now this tubing is suitable for the modification I need. What you're going to have to do is measure the length of tubing which you're going to need to cut off to put into your bars. It's going to have to be longer than the slit. I'd suggest going like slightly underneath, because if it's just right up the slit, it could still crack around the slit and break, which would be a weakness in the bars. Whereas if this would effectively be a reinforcement, put it slightly lower down, and then it would be stronger. In district bars, there is a star nut slightly further down, so that makes my job much easier. Now all I have to do is get the forks, then I can put them down as far as the star nut will allow, and I can just make a mark there with the hacksaw, and then I can start cutting. Here I am, I'm just going to cut a slit round with a hacksaw. It's hard to do with two hands, but I'll just try and show you. So I'll do a mark there, and then I could twist the fork around with my other hand and carry on sawing. Now there isn't a star nut already in the bars. What I suggest you do is measure how far you'll want the tubing to go into the bars, and then make a mark on the tubing with, like, measure it first, then make a mark with a hacksaw. Do it at 4 points around the fork tube so you get a straight line, or straight as possible, and then join them up by, again, holding it and sawing around so the points meet. Now you just have to saw the fork tubing. Now once you've properly put the forks into the vise, make sure you've tightened it up enough, then you can start sawing off the piece of tubing. So I'll just get the hacksaw. Here it is. Try and cut as straight as you can, hopefully you made a nice mark. And that's it, let's get going now. I'm going to move some stuff off the table because it's getting noisy and it's just annoying. Careful at the end here, just try and get a clean cut. Now I'm going to file off the edges of the forks. They're a bit rough, so let's get to it. This is where the tape comes in handy. So at the moment the fork tubing, it goes into the bars quite easily, but it also, sorry that was terrible. It goes into the bars quite easily, the fork tubing, but it also falls out very easily. So what you're going to do is you're going to put tape around the fork tubing so that it fits snugly into the bars. So all you do is simply take the tape off and start wrapping it around the fork tubing. Now don't apply too much because it won't actually fit in, so start cautiously and you can always add more tape later on. So I think this is enough tape now, and I'll try putting it into the bars. If you wish, you can use a hammer to hammer this in, or you can try and whack it into the floor, or whatever you want to do. Because I have this handy, I'm just going to use my broken micro deck to whack into the bars. See how that goes. So you can see this here. So. It's quite noisy. Let's use a hammer, wouldn't have to do it. This is glass. Sometimes you might need to cut a little bit of tape off because it's kind of too much. There's a little bit of excess to make it be able to go down further. Be careful not to scratch your bars if you care about that sort of thing. As I used a little bit too much tape, what I've done is I've got a fork, started scraping the tape out of here. I also cut a little bit off the end so it'll fit in slightly more easily. Now the fork tubing is in and it's time to put the screws together. Now I warn you, really don't put too much tape in, it just makes it a pain to get the fork tubing in. And if you put like loads, and it could actually kind of expand it slightly too much, so it's slightly too big outside diameter. So that's a problem too. Sometimes what can happen is because you put the tape in the bars, diameter increases slightly, so it's like just a tiny bit wider, which can make it very hard to fit into the SCS. So then what you'll do, or what you can do, or you can just force it on, which sometimes works, but it might be hard to get off then. Another method is to stretch the clamp slightly. So all you do is you take all the bolts out, thread one bolt in the wrong way. See I'm threading in here, you know, you put it in the other way to tighten it. And then get a coin or something. And then simply be very careful, don't do this too much, just do it very slightly. One thing I forgot to mention also is the coin is in the way, and I have to make it so it's not in the way. Like so. And then the bars will fit on easily. But I stress again, do not use too much tape, it'll just make the job really annoying. So don't do it. So one final tip, if you're having a hard time getting the SCS onto the bars, one tip is you can get the clamp on by stretching it or whatever method you choose to put on your SCS, and then you can tighten it up and leave it for a while, and it seems to kind of compress the tape slightly in the bars, which now means that the SCS is easier to get on and off the bars, so solves that issue. So I'm still failing here. Yeah, fail! Got it on, there you go, voila. So yeah, thanks for watching. I mean, if you found it helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, comment, rate and subscribe, tell me what you think. If you want any constructive criticism, that'd be helpful too. And yeah, see you next time if you watch any of these videos, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.